Joining us now to continue the discussion on the Islamic State's recent executions is Douglas Smith. He was a leader in the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and an advisor during the Clinton and Obama administrations, and we want to thank you for coming in. We've heard these words, unspeakable, horrific, gruesome. You have to wonder, given the international community's reaction, what's the upside for the Islamic State? Why would they do this sort of thing?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It seems when you're that horrific, when both Al-Qaeda and Iran disown you, it kind of speaks to how bad they are. Look, I think they're trying to claw for territory. They're trying to maintain their relevance. This can't possibly be helping them, though. I mean, the few people that were supporting them seem to be pulling away. And yet the terrifying thing is these fighters still keep coming there. So I think they figure it's doing something. To the rest of the world, it sure seems horrific.
Well, and they are a terrorist group, so I guess that kind of dovetails with that. David Cameron, we just showed, he said that it got to be a straightforward message. And I want to talk to you about that because I think Vice President Biden's comments, marching to the gates of hell, seems pretty straightforward. And yet the President of the United States, Jim had a bit of it in his story, wanted to degrade and destroy ISIS, but then he kind of walked it back later and said, we want to make this a manageable problem. And I think this has been kind of one of the issues. Even David Cameron, they say privately, is upset that you don't really get a true read from the President of the United States. Should he be more forceful in his language? And does it seem like he's kind of all over the place on this?
I think a little bit. I mean, it's always a challenge when you're the president. I mean, that's what you have a vice president for. And clearly, I think the vice president is telegraphing the message of what the U.S. intelligence services believe, what the U.S. military believes, what many of our allies believe, that when a bully steps up in the schoolyard, you got to punch him down hard. And I think that's what we're facing right now. And this is beyond any bully any one of us ever saw in a schoolyard. I mean, what they are doing in the region is horrific. The murders they are doing are unspeakable. And I think the challenge will be, what can we do? The reality is, in the United States, if the president were to say, I'm sending 100,000 troops, he'd be impeached tomorrow. There is no appetite after year after year after year of war in the region to send that. So what next? Is it more drone strikes? Is it greater intel on the ground with selective hits on particular terrorists? I mean, that's what he's struggling with. It's easy to, having been in that spot, to watch people Monday morning quarterback. His challenge is the number of issues he has to face, including a Congress and a country that is very, very war weary. And
you say punch them down hard. Does that mean maybe cooperating with people that you didn't normally like Iran? You've got Syria. I mean, Assad is just as much against ISIS as is the United States. Same with Iran, who's not necessarily considered an ally of the United States. Far from it. Does it mean that maybe you've got strange bedfellows for a change?
I think it does. I mean, look at what happened pre-George Bush invading into Iraq. I mean, there was a certain détente with, as bad as Hussein was, there was sort of balance in the region. And I think as we look to solutions there, as bad as Assad is, and Assad is a bad guy in Syria, at the same time, if we sort of knock him out at the same time, what does that bring us? Does it bring it worse? So I think you will see interesting partnerships. I think the president's language today in Europe and as he goes to the NATO meeting in Wales will continue to be about rallying all the countries to get together. I mean, the importance will be a coalition and bringing all these nations together.
Let me ask you one final question. You say punch them down hard, the bully, but it seems like you punch them down hard and then the new bully gets up. I mean, it was Al-Qaeda that was punched down hard. ISIS gets up. If you knock down ISIS, what emerges then? I mean, isn't this kind of the dilemma that the United States faces in the Middle East?
I mean, I think the greater issue is what can replace it. And one of the challenges will be, how do we bring hope and rebuild that part of the world? How do we give the youth, whether it be in Gaza, whether it be in Syria, whether it be in Iran, hope for the future, that they have an education, that they can earn money, they can support their families. And the more hope we can give them, the more and more they will steer away from the crazies in ISIS.
All right, Douglas Smith, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.